you think about things, and some of the things don't seem right. Just like for instance, we were Lake Tahoma's above us, and I'm
Yeah.
scared to death that that thing's gonna bust open one day because most dams that time with the flood, they say on the thing because I look back at it, see how many dams was, whatever
The spillways
malfunctioned
or
or
whatever
whatever,
opened.
and they're
Yeah.
like everything was fine and
Yeah,
blah blah blah, and
yeah.
I'm like,
How?
where did all this water come
Where'd
from?
it
It didn't
come
rain
from?
that hard.
Right.
No.
Where did it
No,
come
it
from?
didn't.
Because I remember being in a hotel that night. I seen the rain. The next day I woke up. I heard this rain all night long, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that bad.
Us
No, it
too.
wasn't. It
Mhm.
wasn't.
Where
I
did it
was
come
going
from?
outside in the middle of the night to smoke cigarettes
Yeah.
in the rain.
Yeah.
That it wasn't that bad to where I could stand there with a lit cigarette and let it fall on me. It felt good,
The
and
next
not put the
morning-
cigarette.
Oh, I know.
It wasn't that
The
bad.
next
I don't
morning,
know
it was
where it
like a
come
heavy
from.
thunderstorm, kind of.
Yeah, it was a
lot of
normal
wind
hard
started,
rain.
but
People
like, it
think
wasn't
that
crazy.
that people's joking, and that people really is some kind of conspiracy thing or something that they're saying. It didn't rain that much, so we're not lying. I mean, this really, really, really happened.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody got videos or has webcams or something like on their surveillance at home if they seen some of the rain. But I mean, I've got like on our camera when we come back home when before the power went off, um, it wasn't that bad,
Mhm.
and it was at night. So then the power goes off. So we have no way of getting any kind of pictures unless somebody took an actual picture or video with their, how bad that rain was that
Mhm.
night. But it just don't add up. And then it didn't even add up when I didn't see where's our National Guard. That was the biggest letdown
Yeah.
ever.
Well, it
because
was 10 days before a single one set foot here, and 14 days before they were, I don't know, in Old Fort. I think it was
Yeah.
14 days, yeah, but it's 10 days before you even seen one. 1,000
Yeah, there
people.
was people.
Because
all
why
over
would
the
they hold-
Katrina.
what would they say? Would they say the roads are all gone like a hurricane, like maybe an earthquake eat the roads up or something? Because we had roads
Mm-hmm.
into North Carolina.
Yeah.
The main roads wasn't an issue. The main roads was where we had down trees.
Mhm.
Right.
But they could still get in the middle of that road and go on.
Oh, yeah.
Like we
I
did the
did
next
to get
day,
food, yeah.
So why was they stopping people before you get into North Carolina? Even South Carolina people told me the same thing where I was trying to get supplies from them. They said, we can't come into North Carolina.
Yeah.
They're not allowing us to come in. And I said, what do you mean not allowing you to come in?
Yeah, I don't.
It's just crazy.
That I can't.
But I
answer.
honestly
don't know.
think that was something done with this administration. I honestly think that was. And I think that was because of most North Carolina, as they know, is red state. It's a red state.
Mhm.
But I mean, we have to do places in there like the middle of Asheville, which is Democrat, and then we have maybe some in Winston-Salem, maybe
Raleigh.
some in So
Mhm.
I mean, I can understand that, but most of us are mountain people.
Yep.
We fight for the working man.
Mhm.
We're poor. We fight for everything that a working man needs. A man needs money. We have value. We
Mhm.
love America. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go with that. And just because somebody said, oh, she's a Trumper, he's a Trumper, which is a whole different thing with the
Yeah.
flood. But we'll get on that another time. But it's just, there's so many things to talk about. It's crazy.
Well,
It all
what
ties
you're
in,
saying
too,
about
though. It does.
the rain and everything, well, it's a fact that these dams the spillways were basically they allowed them to flood.
Yeah.
I found out that this is the practice, and it sounded cold to me at first, but come to find out it's just what they do, and people that live under them know this,
Mm-hmm.
that they give you a warning, but they will let it overflow and wipe out the homes like right under it so that it doesn't wipe out the entire town. That's how I saw it
Every
explained.
so many years or something.
And this wasn't not ever so many years when something like
when
this
something like
happens,
this
a rare
happens, yeah, okay.
incident like
So
this,
something crazy.
where when they know that dam's going to go,
Yeah.
if they don't release it, they release it naturally.
Well, see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they done something like that too, because it had to come from them dams. It had to come from, because how does water go up? We're in the mountains.
Yeah, I mean, and
So how do they go? How does it go up?
watching
That's a
the
very good
big
question.
trucks
If
floating
if
down
you're
the
a
road
hurricane,
and
if you're in a
wrapping
hurricane,
around
hurricane
something.
hits. It hits right there on the coast.
Yeah,
How does that water come up?
Right.
and then down and around and all
Yeah,
of it.
and it didn't rain enough.
Well, the thing is like they say things like there is a 30-foot, and you hear this on the news, a 30-foot wall of water or whatever in Asheville. Okay, well that's not rain.
Mhm.
That's not just an overflowed river.
No.
I mean, it's an overflowed river system coming from a dam that was in Tennessee.
Right.
And then when you start talking about what that water wiped out on its way here, nobody wants to hear it.
Yeah.
But the
But
chemicals,
you got to
the
look at the
mines,
rivers here too, and you got to look at the rivers in Tennessee. It ain't like you're going to what's it called, where they have a lot of floods. Mississippi River.
Yeah.
So it ain't like this huge river.
No.
Mhm.
You know, like the Mississippi River, where all these things run into that.
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, that's really not here. You've got rivers.
Yeah.
I think the Shenandoah River is fairly a good size.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
But
I
then
mean,
you've got these down here. That's creeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like when we say river, we're talking about like over here at the Greenway,
Yeah,
or we're
like
talking
Curtis
about
Creek.
Curtis Creek. It's
Mhm.
literally called creek.
Yeah.
Like you could skip a rock across
Right.
it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Our
walk in it and
10-year-old
swim
can.
in it, you know.
Yeah, we can walk in it up to our ankles. That's what it is,
Mhm.
literally. I mean, it is odd that much water came in, and well, one thing that I saw, I don't say this much because people look at me like
See,
I'm
ours
making it
never
up.
got over our bridge either. The whole time we've lived there, even the whole time they lived there, the people before me and her mother and father, she said it's never been over the bridge. Well, this time it was over the bridge.
Hmm.
It's always been up to the bridge underneath, and it would flood over that way, but it never flood over that bridge that we went across. But it did flood over the bridge. So whatever was coming down through that creek, from wherever it came from, and everybody was telling me when I call 911 and I'd say, "What's going on? We didn't have that much rain. Where is this water coming from?" She was like, "Well, honey, it's all flooded so bad up in the mountains. It's washing down here to Marion." So I'm like, "Did it rain that hard up there, Mom?" And she's like, "Yeah, it rained, but it's nothing, you know." You know, before I've had 3 days and 4 days of rain that was pouring at my house that caused issues. But I've never, and I mean pouring. And this right here floods like it did.
You know what though makes sense about it is coming from the top of the mountain like that. You've got, say, a river and you have 15, 20, 100 different tributaries breaking off of it, different streams and creeks.
Yeah.
So even when it overflows, it gets 3 feet deep.
Right.
Each individual stream
Yeah,
gets
it's
3
not
feet
eating
deep.
up semi trucks, you know.
Now, one thing I saw was a guy, and I cannot find this again. I'm pretty sure I shared it, but I'd have to go back and look. There was a guy who went to the dam at Lake James, and he went there each day leading up to the storm because it's supposed to be this huge storm and all that stuff. Maybe record-breaking rain, 30 inches of rain. It turns into 30 feet of water, but. So what he did is he was trying to make a video that was like informative, showing people how they do the dam. I don't know if maybe he used to work at one or something, but he was showing how it goes from normally you have 2 or 4 of the spillways open, then 8, and then the day that the big rain comes, they'll go up to 16.
Yeah.
They do it gradually like that. It went in the opposite direction. He filmed it each day, and it went from like all of them open to, or whatever it was, 12, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
Then down to 4, and then down to 2 on the day of. And of course, he didn't have any film of the next day because he had to get the hell out of there. But I saw this guy's video, and he uploaded it like innocently enough as a way to show here's how you prepare a dam and stuff like that.
Right.
So a lot of people have their conspiracy thing. Now the land grab thing comes out. What was it, yesterday or the day before, where FEMA come out and said the 100-mile floodplain thing. They're basically bulldozing all the land, and it's going to be part of a land conservation act that was signed, and it's a real thing. They say it,
Yeah.
you know, and just like the
Like
FEMA
the
camp in
governors,
Asheville, where it's made with these campers that our people should be living in.
700 of them that they brought in.
Yeah, or 700. It's enough campers there for 700 people.
Yeah. that they could be given to people.
And they're
who live
here
in Texas.
for various reasons, is what the FEMA people there on the spot
For
said.
as long as they're needed.
For as long as they're
Like,
needed. For what?
Needed.
They're not doing nothing for nobody out here.
Go home. We got it. Okay.
You've talked to countless people, like when you're doing this stuff. What have you heard from people about any help they've received?
The only help they received is people that's right in this community of North Carolina. Most of us as neighbors working with neighbors, and you have people that's outside, like from McDowell County, you have people on down in Statesville, past Statesville, in Raleigh and places like that can get stuff to people. And then I also heard, it took a while, but like the supplies now, some people are going down a little bit with supplies because people thinks it's okay that they're fine, that they don't need it. But the one supplies that we have too comes in from, I've had them come in from South Carolina. I've had them come in from other places to other distributing places, but it's people around us. It's not the government.
So they're not getting help from nobody.
Yeah, none of our stuff
Well,
came in from
We've
government.
heard a couple decent stories, but that's out of a lot of people.
Well, as far as FEMA, I knew some of it was conspiracy theories. When I heard some of it, I thought, how is these people, why is people saying this about FEMA? They're not going to help us at all. They're not going to give us $750. Well, my daughter signed us up, and she signed us up right when we started working back here, and I got a hold of her, and she got home. When she got home and everything, it was probably, maybe 3 weeks after the flood that she was down here helping me in the church a little bit, her and her fiance. She had called because they had it everywhere. Call FEMA and sign up for the, FEMA, whatever it is for your flood and disaster in North Carolina. Yeah. So she did that. She called, and I thought, she said, Mom, don't worry about it. I called and signed you up for FEMA. And I thought, okay. They sent me a letter that said denied. And I was like, why? How are we denied? We got our basement was flooded and our cars flooded. And how can you deny us? We've lost so much, all our freezer foods, all our refrigerators, food. I mean, we've lost a lot of stuff. Our wash machine and dryer, our stuff downstairs. There's furniture down there. There's all my Halloween decoration, my Christmas decorations.
The car.
Yeah, I mean, just everything. We had everything down there because we used it. It wasn't like we didn't use it, but we didn't use it at that. I might took something down there and later on figured out, I need to make a loaf of bread. So my bread maker's down there. So I'd go down there and get it because I didn't have enough room upstairs.
Yeah.
But it was like, but they paid us the $750 and they went downstairs. They brought, nothing got paid until the lady come to view the damages. So there was one sent out to me that went down, and she took pictures sweet as she could be. But she's working for them, but I can't remember exactly where she's from. But I told her all the situation, what I was doing, and what we were doing for our county and stuff like that. And I hadn't been home, to worry about my property because it took me about a month before I even started calling FEMA, but she had already called in, but till I can actually get stuff worked together where I could meet and all this stuff. So when she got out there, she looked at the basement. She checked the walls from wall to wall to measure the walls, and she went downstairs and she'd done all that and took pictures. And it was just a little bit. And then I seen where I'd sent stuff in because you got to do work yourself. It's not easy. So I'd say a person that's older that don't have computer skills and don't have knowledge of like faxing and sending and all this stuff, phone skills, that they can't do this. You'd have to go directly to a FEMA agent like what they have set up down here at the social services in order to get that done for them. But with me, I mean, I didn't have no Trump signs in my yard either or flags because my landlord wouldn't let us because she's a liberal.
Oh, really?
Man.
Yeah. So I couldn't do that because the first time we ever put up
that's
the Trump
why they
flag.
showed up because you didn't have the signs.
Yeah, I didn't
out.
have no signs in my yard.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but she said that last time we put the flag up, that take it down off her house.
Wow.
Yes.
Sounds like my
We've
And
heard
that was
something
when
like that before.
that was when he ran the second time that we put the flag up. That was back in 2020.
Yeah.
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 That would have been fun.
Yeah. So she didn't want that. But anyway, they gave me my $750. They gave me $1,000 and some for miscellaneous, and they give me around $3,000 for our washer and dryer and our things. But they said they couldn't give us money for storage stuff. So other stuff they included, like our car and stuff like that. So they call miscellaneous different things,
So they came through with something.
Yeah, they did. They did.
You've had some help then. That's good.
Yeah.
I know that they've, people always assume instantly that,
But
oh
it's
my God, they're talking bad about FEMA. It's like,
Yeah.
well, they have helped some people, and that is great. However, collectively,
No.
they've
Yeah.
failed. Our government has completely
They did.
failed. They
They
failed
did.
us here from
Well, it took so long
state
for anyone to show up.
to federal government. They failed us, and people still
Well,
feel
now
very
they
much
said, I've
abandoned
been
and
watching
forgotten.
news. They proved that there was a lady that worked for FEMA
Oh, the
Oh,
Trump
I seen
thing.
that.
that
Well,
told
that's why I was
them
laughing,
not
yeah.
to go to the houses with the Trump signs.
Yep.
Well, the ones that was completely gone, the Trump signs is probably blown away anyway after the flood. They probably wouldn't know where
That's
to be
the only
found.
thing that stood in our yard.
survived.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ours and our Mark Robinson
And the Mark
signs
Robinson
stood-
sign.
I was like, are our signs still there?
See what
Fight.
we've the main thing that we've had basically what we've been hearing is negative about FEMA isn't about whether or not somebody got their check or this or that. It's more about what you were saying before, like nobody was here
Oh, yeah.
to help in the
Yeah.
field.
But that is not, I do think it's FEMA's fault because FEMA is run by that administration.
Right.
And that there is a problem. Like Trump said, there is stuff that's hidden. And it's been hidden for a long time.
Mhm.
And it's hitting, I think there's Democrats elite
Mhm.
that like Nancy Pelosi, like what's the other guy's name? Jeffries, like what's that little
There's some
short
rhinos
dude.
mixed in there too, though.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
some on the
Oh,
right
there
as
is.
well.
who got
This
their
deep
money.
state, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Their pocket money. So whoever's doing this, just like now they're acting stupid, like with Kamala Harris,
Mhm.
like they shouldn't have put that much money into her. They shouldn't put that trust into her.
Mhm.
Now they're wanting the money back. So it's just like these big elite people, even with the country with the stars and stuff. Like you've got what's that guy's name that played on like all those movies about where that casino was?
Robert
Clooney?
De Niro?
Yeah,
Clooney, or is it
Clooney.
yeah.
Oh.
So like he's one of the big ones. Robert De Niro is one of the big ones. You got these big actors. I think it's a whole group of elite people that don't have nothing else to do but put their money together and decide what they're going to turn this country into.
Right, what direction
And
it's
they
gonna go
thought they
in.
had America fooled.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one good thing. I thank God. We have to stand for America, whether we're Republican, whether we're Democrat, whether we're liberal. If you can't stand, and I know a lot of liberals don't want to stand for nothing that they don't want to stand for, which I'd see kind of hard dealing with those. But I know where the Republican Party is and the Democrat Party. There's people in this world that is like my brothers and sisters. That's either way.
Mhm.
That we are working class. We are hard workers. We are farmers. We're everything. I mean, we've been in America. We was born and raised in America, and even the ones that even come to America for stuff legally, and that's here, that lives here. I mean, I've got friends, a lot of Spanish friends and everything that deserves the same thing that I get.
Mhm.
But it's just like there's a elite of people that's totally changed our rules and our republic, I think.
Mhm.
And that's the people we have to watch out for. That's the people that don't need to be in a hot place. So we have to have some other reason. The FBI, I thought, like with this FEMA stuff and everything, if we had a real, true FBI agency that was run by different parties to make sure it was fair completely,
Right.
then that way they couldn't do what they have done. Because how would Hunter's laptop? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously,
Yeah.
this man was a sex predator, probably young. That looked like a young girl he was on his
it
computer.
was.
And then, you're letting them do that. And you've got how many missing children over there that come
Yeah,
across the wall that they can't find their
38,000.
sponsors. They can't
Mhm.
find the children. Where's the children at?
All being
And then all
sold.
this stuff
Yeah.
just gets ignored.
Yeah, and it's all this administration. Like they kept them from coming here to help us with this flood.
I think they did.
They done everything else possible. I know they did.
And what's
I mean, I know
interesting
it
is
in
in
my
a
heart.
weird way, the
Yeah.
mountain people almost played into that because basically they said, F you, fine, go away. We don't
Yeah,
need you.
we don't
do
need
it
you.
ourselves.
We're not going to sign these papers.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to sign those papers. I know you don't want to give your land to them, but I ain't seen none of that yet. I think they just wanted control because they're saying that, we're going to have it this way. And if we can get rid of these people and put them under, they won't vote for Trump comes when it's time to vote for Trump.
That could have been a part of it. I do think I don't know, it's just a weird coincidence that, what was it, 2021, that Biden did that thing where he's taking back 30% of the country's land. For floodplain land was a lot of it for conservation purposes. And then Cooper signed a thing a year ago.
What about Bill Gates?
Yeah, he's another one. Yeah.
I mean, look at all our land that he's bought, farmland, for what?
Yeah.
And look how much China has bought. If you talk to, I can't think of her name now, Sanders Huckabee.
Oh yeah.
If you
Sarah
talk to
Huckabee
her,
Sanders.
you see stuff about her in her state. She's making China. She's buying back all China's land that America has sold to China, where they've went out and they've talked to these poor farmers or these poor people that needed to sell their land that the government screwed out of some way about the farmers and everything, and they started getting less money for what they was making and took their land basically. Well, that's when China come in and started buying up stuff. So she made them say, "Oh, we ain't going to do this. You're going to give our land back."
Right.
So she made them, went through court and everything to make them give the land back, and they would have to buy it back from them. Like she would buy back that land from them, and they could not object to it.
No kidding.
Nope.
That's great, though.
Yeah. So I think all America, if Donald Trump even does it, if Donald Trump, and I know he would, if he knowed exactly what was, he's got so much going on, but he's a man that when he hears, like me or you talk, that he'll do things when he hears our side of it.
And Biden wasn't.
Yeah.
And people can call it, like basically a publicity stunt, whatever they want to call it.
Yeah,
the fact of the matter is he was here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I know people's
Elon got
hearts,
people
honestly,
started.
and I know he was a rich man, and I know his father gave him money to start his business, but I honestly believe, I can feel it in my heart, just like with other people. He's got a good heart.
Yeah,
I
and I
really
think
do
those
believe that.
assassination attempts
God
helped
has
change him a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
gotten
God's
into
got his hand
heart
on him.
now.
Well, I
It
think
really
he was
does.
I honestly think that because he was good to his worker. I mean, people that worked for him, unless it was somebody that was totally irate or something. But the stories that I've heard, even from his workers at Mar-a-Lago and stuff that I've watched, and just feeling in my heart about him. It's just like he loves America. I know for a fact he does. He's a New Yorker, and he's a proud New Yorker.
Yeah.
He's a proud American. So he wants those same values instilled today. But we have to do something. He said he was going to clean the swamp.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, America needs to clean the swamp.
Yes,
That's
we
true.
do.
We need to get these people out of right now that's still sitting in Congress and still sitting in our Senate, knowing they have not done crap for these past 4 years. They've seen us go down, drowning, and not gave us a life rope. They need to be out.
yeah, that's
And there are
absolutely
elites
right.
that do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, on both sides, they allow it to happen
Yeah.
on the right. Well, the Department of the Doge, the thing that he was going to do with Elon and
DOJ.
Vivek, that is going to be a real thing. The Department of
Yes.
what is it?
Government
And another
efficiency.
thing
Yeah,
I'm going
the
to love
government
is when
efficiency.
Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
is coming in, because all of our stuff, like when I used to work for the restaurants and stuff, they said so much mouse droppings or rat feces
Yeah.
can be in
allowed.
our food.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So everything that comes, whatever's made, like our drinks or our chips or our potatoes, or our mashed potatoes, our green beans, anything that's canned and made in America can allow so much feces into it.
Yep.
And I'm like, what?
And see,
So,
it's
How's the
interesting you
US
say that. Like, if I
US
start talking about what you were saying a minute ago, like Chinese buying up farmland here, and especially farmland that's near our military installations, people say, "Oh, that's conspiracy theory," or "What's wrong with that?" or "You see it in this dark way." And I say, "Okay, well, let's flip it the other way. Can I go to China and just start buying up their land? Are they cool with that?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
is that all right?"
Yeah.
No, it's not. And even if I was
Do you
able
think
to,
China would not do that?
No.
If an American
No.
person come over there?
and
Oh my
same thing
gosh,
with the
red
food.
flags.
If you look in Europe, their food has higher standards. Most of the ingredients that are in our food are not
Yeah,
allowed to be in their
alcohol
food.
Right.
And this is something that Bobby Kennedy started putting up the day that he started, or actually the day after Trump won. he was putting up these videos about breakfast cereal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He like went right on the job. You know, he's been on the job kind of for
Yeah.
20 some
Yeah.
years.
And that's one thing. Well, I
He's,
like, I'm a Republican. My father was a Republican. My husband was a Democrat. His family was Democrats. When they seen what was happening since Obama,
Mhm.
they changed their politics. And when she seen everything that Obama was doing and worrying about, you know, he was saying, I'm going to protect Social Security and I'm going to do this and another. Well, no, you're not. Because I would tell her, I'd say, Paula, this, is happening. You know, this is going on. They're allowing this in America. And she's like, what? She said, what happened to him? She said, that man right there ain't no Democrat. She said, the Democrats that my father was and my grandfather was for the poor people. She
Right.
said, this Democrat ain't for the poor. She said, there is no way. She said, the way my standards was and my Democrats was, they was for the poor people and they fought for the poor people. She said, what they have in there today ain't worth shit.
The
That's
Democrat
basically
she
what
was talking
said.
about was a JFK Democrat.
Yes, that's right.
And that's basically
fine.
what you would call a classical liberal.
Yeah,
And now all of a sudden the parties have almost flipped.
yeah.
Because, you know, it was about small government, it was about, you know, personal liberties, you know, no censorship. All of these things have only shown themselves to be
A disaster.
yeah, and the left just went so far left that it became socialist.
Yeah.
And take our history away.
That too.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know there's issues
That's
with
part of the
history.
socialist
But it's
thing.
history.
It
Yeah.
is, and you cannot
can't
change
change
that.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you cannot
How
change
can
it.
you learn from it?
Now,
good
if
or
we
bad,
put a
if it's
symbol of,
changed?
if we put a statue of Hitler up in the, you know, town square, I wouldn't want that because Hitler was a piece of crap. He was
Right.
a devil.
Right.
Why would you want that? He killed so many people. I mean, it was unreal. It's basically like an antichrist is what he was because he had people killed. Who would want that? But anyway, like we've got founders today that was back in the Civil War days and stuff like that. And I know there was slavery.
Yeah.
And I know stuff like that was going on. But I have friends that's all different kinds of race. And it's not a race thing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I don't know. I just don't know how to explain it. I guess for me always being poor and underclass, that I fight for that type of stuff because that is our history, and I'm proud of that history. I'm
Right.
not proud of slavery.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Because
it's
I
just-
would.
Good
I mean,
and
I
bad
hate.
to all history.
Yeah.
That's what makes it.
And if I seen somebody
What it
being mean to
is.
any person, regardless of their race, you know, I would pick up something and knock them out with it because I would not want them hurting nobody, no human being.
right.
So I don't think it's about I mean, there is people that still like with the KKK and stuff like that, but I don't honestly believe it's as bad as it was years
No,
ago.
God, no.
not.
No,
They've
no,
made
barely
it.
exists.
Yeah.
They've made
But I know
it
there's
seem
still
that
people
way.
that is racist.
Of course.
But you don't have to look just
That's
at
never
white
going to
people.
go away.
You have to look at black people,
Everybody.
Asian people, you know, Spanish people.
Anybody.
If they say like, what nationality are you, or
Not
what
Christianity.
culture were your people, and like, let's say I would say English. Now, does that mean I'm referring to 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, or 1,000 years ago?
You're
Because
talking about in
everybody's
America or
going
England.
from place to
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
to place to place to place. It's like
You live in London or do you
right,
live somewhere in
and that's the
Kentucky?
thing.
Yeah.
And how much did it even matter? You know what I mean? So all that stuff doesn't matter. America's totally like a big
But in order
melting
for us
pot
to
type of
become
thing.
one, because we're going to be one when the Lord comes back anyway, because He is coming back, you know, regardless if you're atheist or regardless if you believe in God, there's a good and there's an evil. Even atheists believe there's a good and there's an evil.
Mhm.
So if there's a good and there's an evil, there is a God and there is a devil.
Yeah.
And if you believe in the devil, you
Can't
have to
be-
believe in God.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, they
Yeah.
have scientific facts. They just have to get out there and really find them and let them one experience a miracle and see how fast they come to God.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's just like that. But we're going to have to get back. This right here, this flood that we haven't seen, whether it happened because it was done or whether it happened because it was a big, that like God was mad and He
Biblical
said,
event, yeah.
it's time for y'all to wake
Mhm.
up. We need to start loving each other. We
Could
need
be.
brotherly love. We need to, you know, do for each other and change. I mean, because I think a lot of that was a part of that. It could be that the government was in some kind of thing, but when you do that kind of, you're looking back at, okay, all this conspiracy theories about the weather. When they say it was a global warming, or what is it called? Not global warming.
They've changed it to climate change.
Climate change.
Yeah.
So when they say it's climate change, You know what they're doing? They're taking away God's power
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
calling it climate change.
Mhm.
It's something we done and we produced by smog and by putting waste in our ocean and done this and done this. And I know it's not great to do. So try to limit what you're doing. But all this stuff, these hurricanes and these tornadoes and this lightning that comes out of the sky and these twisters, that's God. That's only God.
I think we're making some of it. We do
Well-
see clouds and any kind of thing that you.
Well, as far as hurricanes,
I don't know
I
about
don't believe
hurricanes,
that.
but we do see them to rain.
Yes.
And it went
Well,
very
did
wrong.
did you go back and look back in history what they done with the rains? They've actually made things to make the government has made things to make rain.
Mm-hmm.
They've done stuff. It's in if you look it up.
Oh yeah, it's a real thing. Cloud seeding
Yeah.
is something that we admit to doing all the time until people start talking about it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Right.
So when they want to talk about like, there's a drought in such and
Mhm.
such country, like our scientists who are doing it here go over there and help, and it's a real thing.
Mhm.
And then, we did a few experiments where we put dry ice into
Yep,
hurricanes.
I've seen that.
And a woman had dry ice falling in her yard on a video that was on TikTok and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's some reasons to believe that something was made here because it wasn't natural. The people that I've talked to, and I still leave it out there for interpretation. I'm not sitting here claiming to be an expert on nothing.
No.
But I've talked to people in Florida where it first came through, where the hurricane came through, and then parts of South Carolina where they say, a hurricane came through here, full blast, but there was no rain. And they'll say, I've lived here, 60 years, and I've never seen a hurricane with no rain. But then right when it got over top of you folks, the rain just fell. It fell like something broke in the sky, and the
Yeah.
water came down. And
Popped
it did
balloon.
rain hard. Like you're saying, it doesn't seem like it rained hard enough to cause what we saw.
No.
And like I said, I'm not trying to play scientist or anything, but whether it was something we played around with nature by accident and caused it, or it was something we somewhat did on purpose or whatever, I feel like when it comes to government agencies, they never let a good disaster pass them by, meaning they had this plan to grab this floodplain land, make it all this conservation project, whatever. This thing happens, boom, they got their land.
Yeah.
Now, could that be the devil said, let's make a bunch of things fall into place just perfectly? Could it be God that said we need to do this, like you said? Could it be a combination? All I know is that I saw people come together in a way that cannot be described. I tried to write it in a song. I tried to talk about it on the podcast. I can't explain it to people that ain't here.
Mm-hmm.
Within minutes, almost like they were programmed like robots. People were outside risking their own lives, cutting,
Trees down for people
that are hanging
Yeah.
halfway down, about to crush them, cutting them down
Well,
for
one
people.
man actually died from it.
From a
One
tree?
man got killed. Yeah, because he was out. I think it was Michael up here, Gossett. I think it was him or maybe somebody else. 'Cause somebody asked me to pray about it because there was actually a worker or person that was helping, and he went to go cut trees down, and the chainsaw come back
Yeah.
Oh,
and like
God,
cut his
I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
something.
That could happen so easily.
and he died from it. So I mean, these people that come, it was no government, no nothing like that. They come
No.
to help us. It was people that
Well, you
was
are
real
hearing
people that done it for the
everybody's
goodness of their
stories.
heart.
You're helping hundreds and hundreds of people. Like, have you?
But I've talked to so many people too, like you said. How did I get in touch with that lady? From Texas, Sadie. I mean, I reached out to her because I seen her on a Facebook post.
Mhm.
And you can see some of this stuff when it started. People were actually talking a little bit about it. That was, maybe they had, because my family's from Maryland. So I'm here in McDowell County. I was in Mitchell. I was left from Maryland and moved to Bakersville. So I just kind of went about everywhere. But my family there was so worried after they seen the pictures here. It's just like maybe somebody's family was over in Vegas and somebody over here living in McDowell County, their family's over there. So they want to send stuff to help.
Mhm.
You know, and that's what they do. That's what they do. They send it like that. They'll get together like a school, or they'll get together, you know, out of the goodness of their heart, and they'll put the donations together, and then they'll bring it in. But it was nothing offered to us from the government. There was nothing that Kamala Harris done.
Hmm.
There was nothing that Trump or anybody with money done. I mean, but Trump did do this. He brought the satellites in from
Yeah,
Elon Musk.
yeah.
And that's one thing I got to say. If we hadn't had that, because we got 911 back up,
Yeah.
and then we started getting, you know, other stuff as soon as that come up.
People could
But,
communicate.
but I
much
thank
better,
God
yeah.
for the 911 after, because we didn't have no communications whatsoever that we could get in touch with anybody and ask what's going on. Is this area destroyed or whatever?
Right.
But like I said, I couldn't even get in touch with the sheriff up there in Bakersville about my mom, you know, at
Yeah.
all. And he couldn't get things in because he had no way to do it, you know. So,
I just wonder, why is it that, like, for instance, we were talking about.
but I heard, well, from Spruce Pine too, they said most of the people that came to McDowell first, and they set up for McDowell, and from McDowell then they went to Bakersville,
They
and they went to
used
Burnsville, and they
over
went
there
to
behind the Tom Johnson's.
But
They
that was
set
later
up
on.
a-
That was later, yeah.
Yeah, they weren't here early.
No,
No,
we were on
no.
our own
Yeah.
by ourselves, the county.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
what-
you meant that the government came.
Oh,
I was
no.
gonna say, no, they didn't.
No,
No, they
Don't
didn't.
hold your breath for the government.
No,
I mean,
they
there's
can-
people waiting. What if people would have waited in trees for the government
Yeah,
on
Right.
top of
well,
houses?
everyone
Right.
would be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, and there are people dead because of that.
Yeah.
you
And the
know?
thing that saved a lot of people was the Operation Airdrop thing, where like
Yeah.
the independent owners of helicopters and
Yes.
and planes, everything went out there and
And Lisa
save
Morgan, the
people.
lady that I'm good friends with,
Mhm.
she knows that guy that had the helicopter and left his son here to pick up that doctor
over
picked
there,
up the wife
Jimmy
and
Rock.
left the doctor because they told him that the National Guard or somebody was, whoever's in control, told him to leave him up there, to not
Mhm.
go back and pick him up. And he was not allowed to go back and get him. But he said, I have to go back. And they said, no, you're not. He said, I have to go back. My son is there. So he went back, got his son, and then told that man he was sorry that they told him if he picked him up, that they would prosecute him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I heard
he had
about
to
that.
he had to leave him there.
It's insane.
I mean, the people that are out in the in the outside world, they don't believe this stuff.
And
They
can
don't
you
believe
can you
it.
imagine
And
somebody
it's-
making a call?
Yeah,
If
I
you're
mean,
up on top of a house or up on top of a hill and you're flooded everywhere, and somebody else gets to make that call,
Yeah.
that's not around your area, that's not people that can help you, that's government that
Yeah.
says make that call to go get them off that roof in
Right.
about 5 days. I mean, that would be awful.
Yeah, well.
And that's what happened.
Mhm.
So
it's heartbreaking.
We've had, or